Vietnamese citizenship applications is a hot topic recently. Hello everyone, my name is Huê Trung. I am a Vietnamese lawyer. Recently, I received a lot of questions from the foreigners who are interested in this topic. As you may know, if you are the foreigner and you have a Vietnamese wife, you can apply for Vietnamese citizenship. However, you need to meet some requirements. And what is the requirements? Let me tell you about the old regulation and the new regulation. For the old regulation, first you need to have the permanent resident card, and how you have the permanent resident card. First, you need to stay in Vietnam continuously 3 years. Um, Under the temporary resident course, and when you stay in Vietnam enough 3 years continuously, then you can apply for the permanent resident card. As long as you have a permanent resident card, you can apply for a citizenship. But with the old regulation, you need to give up your original nationality. It means you only choose Vietnamese nationality if you want to apply for Vietnamese citizenship. Also, you need to have a Vietnamese name. That's it for the old regulation. So, what is the difference between the old regulation and the new regulation? For the new regulation, the Vietnamese government expand the object who can apply for the Vietnamese citizenship. Uh, so in this topic, I just want to mention about the foreigner who has a relative in Vietnam. So for the old law, if you have a spouse, then you can a Vietnamese spouse, then you can apply for Vietnamese citizenship. But for the new law, if you have a Vietnamese spouse or and Vietnamese children, so it means that if you and your Vietnamese wife divorced, then you still can apply for Vietnamese citizenship if you have a Vietnamese children. Mm, Also, for the new regulation, you don't need to give up the original nationality. When you apply for Vietnamese citizenship and you choose both nationalities, if the president of Vietnam approve for this decision, then you still can keep both nationalities. That's really a good one. I think that's it really improvement for the new regulation. Also, you still can keep the English name and also, but the name need you can mix between Vietnamese and English name. But for the old law, you need to have a new Vietnamese name. Yeah. So few weeks ago, when I saw some news on the paper on the yeah on the electric news, and some people sent me the message and they asked me that with the new regulation, I don't need to stay in Vietnam, so I still can apply for Vietnamese citizenship. Honestly, it's totally wrong. Why? Some information on internet it makes you confused and makes you misunderstanding, because the law didn't mention clearly. They just mentioned that if you have a Vietnamese spouse or children, you can skip the article A, B, C, D. But you need to know that for the for in order to meet the requirement to apply for the Vietnamese citizenship, we have we have the article A, B, C, D, and D. A, B, C, D, D, 5. But if you have a relative, the Vietnamese spouse and or the Vietnamese children, you can skip A, B, C, D. But you still have to meet the items D. So what is the item D? The item G is mean that you need to have the permanent resident card before applying the Vietnamese citizenship. In this case, you still need to stay in Vietnam continuously 3 years. As long as you stay in Vietnam continuously 3 years under the temporary resident card, then you can apply for the permanent resident card, PRC. And when you have this card, as long as you have this card, you can apply for the Vietnamese citizenship. So this item is similar with the old regulation. So the laws still require you to stay in Vietnam at least 3 years continuously. That's very important because I know some of the foreigners, they cannot stay in Vietnam continuously 3 years because they have a business trip, they have to go back to their country to visit their family, or they have to go to travel. So, but if you leave Vietnam within 3 years, for example, 1 day, 2 days, or 1 week traveling, then you don't meet the requirement. That's a very important. So if any one of you who really want to apply for Vietnamese citizenship, you have to prepare that you need to stay in Vietnam 3 years continuously. That's very important, continuously. So I will show the articles here on the video, so you guys can so is it the proof to demonstrate that you need to stay in Vietnam 3 years continuously, because some of the foreigners, they read their information on internet, and honestly the information was wrong and lead to the misunderstanding. So I attached the screenshot to this video, so you can see that the article 2, you can get the exemption for the item C, D, and E of the article 1. But it means that you still need to meet the requirement for the item D, because it's a new regulation, so they don't have a translation copy yet. I hope that this information is good enough. And if you have any question, feel free to book a consultation with us. And yeah, and I am very happy to support you about this case if you really want to obtain the Vietnamese citizenship in Vietnam. So thank you for listening the video, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.